enjoying the evening.
And so they put a shop
Before
in their new
we
location.
start the introduction, though, there are a couple of people I want to make mention of. I'd like to welcome Tom Hack, who is over at the far table there. Tom is a Riverside graduate. He's a member of the Board of Education, and he is the board's liaison person with the Alumni Association, and we're especially happy to have him here with us tonight. It's my honor to introduce the current members of the Hall of Fame. As I read your name, I would like you to stand at the table until everybody is introduced, and then we will applaud all of those people. From the faculty and staff category, Carol Benroth, Gretchen Reed, Kathleen Riley, Mary Jane Watson, and Janice Wonderland. From the alumni category, William Geyer, Paul Toby Hanahan, and Heidi Stoke. And from the athletic category, Terry King, Eric Lakia, who is one of last year's inductees, Kim Curtis Leininger, and Donald Pomfrey. Kim made it before us, but she is the elder sister. Now the important part of the evening. I would like to introduce Dr. Toby Hanahan, who is going to induct the alumni. And Tom, you need to come up here too, please. Tom Trombley.
Welcome. I'm Toby Hanahan. I've had the honor and the privilege of being here tonight and introducing the Alumni Hall of Fame. Who remembers the first day of high school? Even if you were a veteran of the public schools and were moving forward with the rest of your elementary class, rather than being a newbie coming over from the Catholic schools like I did, you felt nervous and excited by the new atmosphere, stepping up the schooling ladder. Those formative years, from the age of 14 to 18, influenced all our lives, both personal and professional. We matured both physically, mentally, and emotionally. We found pathways to our occupational endeavors provided by our leaders, teachers, and coaches. Our inductees tonight are outstanding examples of the many RHS graduates that have entered and matriculated through the Painesville Township school system. They are all leaders in their field and today serve their communities, inspiring the new leaders of tomorrow. Our first inductee is Ellen Arsulic Forbes. Ellen is a member of the Riverside High School class of 1980. Keep that date in mind because you might see a trend. Ellen is no stranger to this community. She has put years of professional expertise, community service, and commitment to Riverside schools. Ellen attended Lakeland Community College, where she studied finance and has since held upper-level positions at Key Bank, First Barrett, Huntington Bank. She was soon recognized by the community as a strong leader and dedicated herself to public service in education, health, and economic endeavors. While many of us know Ellen professionally, many more of us have interacted with her in numerous roles as a community leader and volunteer in local organizations such as United Way, Women's Leadership Council, Lake County Council of Aging, Extended Housing for Lake County, Rotary Club President in 2001 and 2002, Lake County Red Cross Advisory Board, Riverside School Superintendent Advisory Committee, Leadership Lake County, Painesville Chamber of Commerce, and Lake Health Foundation Council. She has been honored with numerous public service awards over the years. She stays connected to the Riverside schools and her work on the alumni committees and hosting board officials and neighbors to discuss plans and financial needs of the new schools. It is my honor to welcome Ellen Arsulic Forbes to the Riverside Hall of Fame.
Toby and I were in Rotary many years ago, too many. So thank you, and thank you for the classmates who came tonight to support me, and Deb, like he said, there is a trend here. Writing my 5-minute response has been very difficult. I can talk about anything, just not me. So what should I say? What do you want to hear other than thank you and go sit down? I will expound upon some of the comments made in the narrative tonight that will give you more insight, I hope. I will admit to feeling a little of the imposter syndrome when I found that I had been nominated. Unlike some of my esteemed classmates, I am not a celebrated sitcom writer, dermatologist, university professor, veterinarian, nor did I ride a horse across the state of Ohio in 1979. I hope that comes up later. Or any of the other prestigious accomplishments that my classmates have achieved. So what about me? I grew up in Leroy Township. I lived there most of my life until just recently when I downsized. You see, yard work became a dirty word. I am an only child, and that, coupled with dysfunctional family dynamics due to alcoholism, made me a very shy, quiet child. School was my sanctuary, and there were many great teachers over the years who really encouraged me and gave me support. My 2 sons, my youngest is here, John, thank you. They put up with me, they put up with a lot. But Matt and John are the best thing that ever happened to me. I'd like to think that we taught each other and grew up together. They taught me to have more patience, that was a big lesson. The joy of family, and that the cycle can be broken. I encourage them to embrace life, try as many different things as you can, fess up when you screw up, and gave them the same hard work ethic my parents gave to me. Cub Scouts was mentioned in the dialogue. I loved being involved in Cub Scouts. When you're an only child, your parenting skills are a little lacking. So Cub Scouts was the best age-appropriate parenting manual you could ever find with a solid value system. The service to my community has been performed in many categories, from board member to occasional volunteer and many places in between. By helping others, not only have I continued to grow and learn more about myself, but I learned a great respect for others. There were so many stories and fun experiences over the years. We shared some tonight. My outlaws are here, my oldest son's in-laws, Jim and Jackie Chaplin, thanks for coming. We worked together with Leroy Youth Club Cleanup Day. With my sons, they tagged along and we bought and delivered Christmas presents to needy families. I still do Thanksgiving and Christmas Meals on Wheels delivery to needy citizens. I've spent nights as a volunteer at the homeless shelter. I've also driven the homeless from their pickup spot in Painesville to the homeless shelter over by Riverside. There's actually an interesting story there. When you have a van full of people and you find out you have no brakes, what do you do? That was a fun night. So you don't have to be a Lech Walesa, Malala, Greta Thunberg, or anyone else who makes the news by doing something famous to bring attention to a cause. If you just take an hour a week or $1 a day towards a cause that is important to you, we would all be so much better off. The narrative also mentioned something about recent changes in the school district and how I got involved, and this is really a good example of what I do best. I jump in feet first when I see a need and help to create awareness and understanding and build consensus. For that, the front page of the News Herald labeled me as an activist. Now, I've been called a lot of things in my day, but that was actually kind of interesting. So to wrap up, I am still a student in life, continually learning and challenging myself and putting myself out there and trying to do self-improvement. I have learned to enjoy life's journey and its little turns and passages you're not expecting. In closing, I would like to offer words written by a German Jewish English woman named Olga Jacobi. She was a young mother of 4 who died at age 39 from a terminal illness. She crafted many writings for her children and others so that they could be encouraged to go on after she had passed. Her writings were published after her death. Unfortunately, they were overshadowed by the beginning of World War I. Live keenly, live fully, make ample use of every power that has been given to us to use for the good end. Blind yourself to nothing. Look straight at sadness, loss, and evil, but at the same time look with such intense delight at all that is good and noble. I always feel that we who are better off are responsible for having let the poor get so low, and that it is duty, not charity, to help. I thank you all for being here tonight, for your support, and for everyone who had something to do with putting this on.
Thank you, Ellen. The next inductee is Deborah Sorber Rosch. Deborah is a member of the class of 1980. Graduating class from 1980 seemed to have a lot of very well-adjusted people. But I will refer you back to the brochure, and class of 67 has them by 1. I'm not saying who's in the class of 67, but there are a couple of us here. She is trained in the food science and nutrition field and is currently a product development engineer, technologist, and R&D technician. Debbie came to the attention of our Alumni Hall of Fame committee due to her interest in raising and training rescue dogs. You can read through her resume in the brochure. Search and rescue has been a significant part of her life since 2002. Over the years, she has achieved many milestones in the field of search and rescue. The Big Creek Search Team and Burning River Canine Search and Rescue have located 17 missing people, 6 of whom were solely Debbie's recoveries. Her team has a perfect record of succeeding in its mission, either clearing negative areas or locating subjects. Debbie has been involved in search and rescue nationally as well as in the state and local community. She lives in Concord with her husband Will and their sons and daughters. Please help me to welcome the new Riverside Hall of Fame member, Deborah Sorber Rosch.
Mr. Shaner would be appalled that I called my
plaque. The first thing I would like to do is congratulate my fellow inductees, Ellen, Nate, Melissa, Russ, and Brian. I'm very, very humbled and very proud to be considered to be amongst you tonight. And I sort of feel like I don't belong. Mostly search and rescue is conducted by teams. And in my case, my main teammate is a dog who does 80% of the work. And I do my 20%. I drive the vehicle, I read the maps, I have the opposable thumb. And I do my best to keep up. That's it. So in many ways, I sort of feel like I'm the everyman nominee here because I feel like I'm very much just an average person. I'm here tonight because of the influence and support of a number of people who need to be thanked. I'd like to thank my parents who had, who ended up having this weird introverted child who was much more into animals and books than into anything else. And they did everything they could to deal with this strange child, and they supported all of my involvement with animals, and we had horses, and they sacrificed a great deal to support that. I would like to thank my daughters. I was a single mother when I became involved in search and rescue at nearly the age of 40. And so they were ages 10 through 15. And trainings were twice a week, and so frequently these girls had to come home from school and do their homework and get their dinner and not burn down the house and not kill each other. And they managed to do that week after week after week. We had the Domino's pizza phone number on speed dial, and I think the franchise owner can send their children to college of their choice now. But I want to thank my children who supported me and gave up, again, a great deal. Resources were tight, and some of this was done a little bit at their expense. I would like to thank my teammates, writ small and writ large, in search and rescue, my immediate teammates. Nobody does well in search and rescue by themselves. All of the training requires somebody to lay trails and hide in the woods for 3 hours to create a nice big scent cone and slap mosquitoes and, dig a hole in the snow and cover yourself up. And, it's kind of a grubby, uncomfortable job sometimes. And yet, week after week, I had teammates that did this. Across the nation, there were mentors who, for the price of travel, or buy them a beer or pay for their meal, spent a lot of time teaching a very unlikely canine handler, and sometimes some fairly unlikely canines. And I appreciate everything that they did. My teachers at Riverside, my coaches, again, not necessarily the most likely students. Miss Riley will, I'm sure, be happy to confirm that I had her for 3 classes, and despite her patient, mostly, effort, and my nerdy, diligent effort, Debbie Sorber was no great shakes at math. And yet I went on to a STEM career because people believed in me and I was willing to work at it. So the same with search and rescue. I have to attribute those mentors and those early teachers with much of my success. I would like to thank my husband, Will, who when he met me, I was doing search and rescue, and I think initially he thought this was like the coolest thing ever. And then he kind of got involved and was probably more than a little bit horrified at the commitment of time and money. And he still joined in, knowing he'd probably never go on a vacation again that didn't involve a training seminar. And he became a dog handler, and his leadership and his organization skills and his fundraising and all of the minutia that requires a team, Will did. He also became one of the premier search managers in the area. All of this to his own detriment. Some of our cases do not end happily. They end tragically. and sometimes in a very disturbing way. And with Will's history as a first responder, those incidences piled up and cost him some mental health. And so today, he is no longer able to be involved in search and rescue, but he has not ever asked me to stop. So his love and support has been a really critical thing. I know you guys are thinking, oh God, this is a 5-minute speech and she's most way through and now she's going to cry. When are you going to talk about the dogs? So I'm going to talk about them now. 5 minutes isn't enough. 5 hours is not enough. But if you hit me up, we can go get beer or coffee and I would be thrilled to talk your ear off and show you slides and presentations and do demonstrations, so that offer is out there. But what I really wanted to mention is that canine search handlers, because of the relatively short lifespan of a dog, fairly frequently have to look for a new partner. And there is a saying among those folks that are advising that process, run away from maybe. This is a long training process. The requirements are rigorous, and the saying means pick a candidate that checks all the boxes. It sounds like good advice, very practical, very sensible. Maximize your probability of success. God's talking now. So, maximize your probability of success and pick a candidate that checks all the boxes. And you can't really argue with such advice, and I used to dole it out. But you know what? I don't believe it. I think it's crap. I think there are too many incidences in my life, and I'm sure you can think of incidences in your life when you didn't necessarily have that option. You kind of had to go with what you were dealt. And certainly, as I said, I was nobody's number one pick. If there had been a kickball team for search and rescue, I'm the one standing there last, no doubt. And none of my dogs, well, maybe one, probably would have checked all those boxes. Every single one of them and I had some fairly significant flaws that we had to either mature out of, train past, or compensate for in some way. Either as a handler, I compensate for my dog's weaknesses. My dogs will not hesitate to make it clear that they frequently compensate for my weaknesses. And sometimes our teammates have to step up and help us where we need help. And so what I wanted to leave you with is lots of times we're in sketchy situations, and what it's going to take and what we learned in school, even if it wasn't just the educational content, we learned how to learn, and we learned how to work hard, and we learned how to apply ourselves. And sometimes, some of us got more experience at it than others, we learned to fail and turn around and pick back up and go. So what I want to tell you with is find something that ignites your passion and find the people that share it. And in that crowd, you will find family. You will find mentors who will help you, and lots of people in your life who will support you. So what I'm saying is, do not run away from maybe. Don't talk it, Mr. Shane. Okay, thanks. Thank you. I did cry. Leave me alone.
Thank you, Deborah. The third nominee for the Hall of Fame is Colonel Brian R. Peterson, USMC. Colonel Brian R. Peterson, USMC, is a 1989 graduate of Riverside High School. he received a BA degree in history from The Ohio State University, then began what would become a highly distinguished and long military career spanning to date 26 years. Colonel Peterson was commissioned as a U.S. Marine in 1993 and designated a naval aviator in 1996. He began his service with the U.S. Marine Corps as a helicopter pilot in 1997. From then until 2018, he proceeded to elevate his achievement levels as a Marine, a pilot, an officer, a commander, and leader, a teacher, and combat strategist, among other things. Among his achievements, he was deployed overseas 5 times, conducted air and ground combat missions, operations 3 times in Afghanistan and Iraq, and earned 2 additional master's degrees in the field of international studies. Over the years, Colonel Peterson has worked at some of the highest levels of government in many of the 30-plus countries that he has visited. Colonel Peterson's personal decorations include Legion of Merit, given as for exceptional meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding services and achievements, the Bronze Star for Valor, denoting heroism, which is the 4th highest military decoration for valor, 2 Defense Meritorious Service Medals, the Air Medal with 9 strikes/flight awards, the Navy Commendation Medal, and Combat Action Ribbon. In September 2018, he assumed his current duties as a regional director for the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command Defense Prisoner of War / Missing in Action Accounting Agency. He is charged with locating and recovering the U.S. service members lost in past conflicts. Colonel Peterson is married and the father of 3 daughters. Colonel Peterson is unable to be here today. He is on active duty. His uncle, Randy Peterson, who is also a member of the class of 1980, will be accepting the award for him.
Well, when Debbie said she didn't feel like she deserved to be up here tonight, I really don't deserve to be up here. Brian is in Hawaii right now, so he couldn't make it, and his father is on vacation. His father and mother are in Florida, so Brian called me and asked me if I could step in for him, and I said I would be more than honored to do that. My wife, Diane, is here with me tonight, and Brian's grandmother's here. She was so excited about this event tonight. She just turned 98 last month, and she could not wait to come to this event tonight. She found out we were going to be here. Well, you don't get Brian, and you don't get my brother Rich, but you get me. And to tell you the truth, you guys are going to win because I'm a lot less winded than those guys are. I want to say congrats to the members, Ellen and Debbie, class of 1980, for the nomination and being inducted. I'm so proud of you. It was so nice to be here tonight. I see other classmates, Lisa, Lena, Frank's over there. You know, when this gentleman said that the class of 1980 was a well-adjusted class, well, that's not a lie. I'm not one of the well-adjusted people, but that's okay. I'm here, and I'm very proud of our class members and what they've accomplished. A little bit of family history. Brian's father, Rich, graduated from Riverside in 1963. Brian's uncle Bob, my brother, graduated from Riverside in 1966. Brian's mother, Janet Shea Peterson, graduated from Riverside in 1966. Brian, of course, in 1989, and Brian's sister Amanda in 1991. We have a little bit of military history in our family. Brian's dad served in the United States Air Force and was in Vietnam. Brian's uncle Bob served in the Air Force and was also in Vietnam. Currently, my daughter's husband is a tech sergeant in the Air Force. I'm proud of each and every one of these, but I'm especially proud tonight of Brian. I've known Brian all his life. I used to babysit Brian. He'd laugh if I told you that, but I used to take care of him and his sister when we were younger. And I have one story that I'd like to share about Brian. You know, Brian, if you knew Brian, he's very humble at what he's accomplished. And he's accomplished quite a bit. And a few years back, Brian was in town, and it was 4th of July weekend. And the Lake County captains had heard that Brian was in town, and at the time, Brian was a captain in the Marine Corps. And they asked Brian if he could throw out the first pitch at the ball game. And he was so excited to do that, and our whole family got tickets to the game, and we sat there and we watched Brian do that. And as the night went on, at the end of the game, they have a big 4th of July fireworks display. And everybody's, you know, oohing and awing and cheering. And I look back at Brian, and he wasn't cheering. He had tears in his eyes. Because those fireworks were bringing back memories for Brian. You see, Brian has fought so many battles, and he's lost good friends. And when he sees fireworks and he hears the booms and everything, it brings back those memories, which are, you know, they're not always great memories. It's tough being in the military. I mean, I'm sure if there's anyone here that's been in the military, or you have military family, you know what I'm talking about. You're away, you miss holidays. You know, you miss families' birthdays, you miss weddings, all kinds of family events. But you know what you're doing is the right thing. And it's because these men and women do such things that we have the freedoms here in America today that we've been given. And so I'm so proud of Brian. And I'd just like to read a letter in closing. Brian, I asked him, I said, Brian, you know, you're not going to hang me out there to dry and speak for you. And he says, no, I'll take care of you, Uncle Randy. So Brian sent me this letter, and I'd like to just share it in closing. He says, Dear fellow Riverside alumni, aloha from Hawaii. I regret that I am unable to attend in person tonight due to my current military assignment in Oahu. My parents are currently gathering seashells in the Gulf of Mexico, so my Uncle Randy has graciously agreed to make the long overland trek from Geauga County to appear on my behalf. I'm especially disappointed that I cannot bring my daughters tonight. I've been telling them how awesome their dad is for years. Perhaps being recognized tonight would finally have convinced them. In all seriousness, I'm truly humbled and honored to be inducted into the Riverside High School Hall of Fame. I am now on my final set of military orders, which will conclude what will have been an amazing 27-year adventure with the world's premier fighting force, the United States Marine Corps. I often compare my military career to the movie Forrest Gump, due to inexplicably good timing. I was in Australia on a routine deployment when the 9/11 attacks occurred, and subsequently spent Christmas 2001 in Afghanistan with a brigadier general named Mattis. I invaded my second country barely a year later, this time with a ground reconnaissance unit, and HBO made a mini-series about my battalion. Back in the cockpit, I returned to Iraq for my third combat tour 2 years later as part of the surge. I've had some crazy experiences with Special Operations Command that you're going to have to trust me about, and I've had the honor of commanding a Marine helicopter squadron. Last year, I went beyond the wall into North Korea in an attempt to negotiate for the remains of U.S. servicemen who would never return from the Korean War. During my career, I was given the opportunity to earn master's degrees with both the Navy and the Air Force. I am writing this on a flight between Tokyo and Bangkok. By last count, I have visited in 37 countries, some for much longer than I would have preferred. Despite all this adventure, I will forever be a Buckeye at heart. Any success I have had in my career, I owe to God, my family, and friends, and the teachers and coaches from the Painesville Township school system that set the foundation for a punk kid from Concord to fly helicopters and to lead Marines. I could not possibly name all the educators who influenced me both in the classroom and on the practice field. Coaches Anderson, Warner, Schaefer, Denner, and McKendrick taught me about teamwork and self-discipline on the gridiron. Mr. DeLong put up with me singing Guns N' Roses on the bus to the Madison YMCA for morning swim practice, and still advocated for me, a 2-point-something GPA student, to be part of the academic challenge and academic decathlon teams. Apparently he saw a glimmer of potential despite my passive resistance toward applying myself in class. Mr. Burris made art cool. Mr. Lauer sparked my interest in history, which I would later major in at Ohio State. I had some great classmates as well, stand-up guys like Mark Rhodes, Larry McLeod, and Buddy Raditz. While my nomadic lifestyle has made it difficult to keep up with most of them, I am forever grateful for the positive influence they had on my life at a time when the wrong choices can completely alter your destiny. Please indulge me one final thought. I am often thanked for my service. For me personally, that is unnecessary. Having seen the political and economic conditions which so much of the world endures, I am grateful for the opportunity to serve our great nation. If you share this sentiment, please consider helping us be a nation worth defending. That starts with each of us. Find someone with an opposing political viewpoint and learn their perspective. Be civil, vote, hold public officials accountable. If you are fortunate enough to have the means to share time or money with a veterans charity, please do so. I am blessed with the ability to cope fairly well with my scars. Many I serve with are not. There are dozens of good national charities like the Wounded Warriors Foundation, or consider a local one like Sub-Zero Mission, founded and run by RHS alumni. Check them out, you'll be proud. My apologies if that sounded like a TED Talk or an infomercial. That was not my intent. In closing, thank you again for honoring me and my fellow alumni tonight. I wish I could have been here to hear their stories too. Enjoy the rest of your evening. God bless you, the men and women of Riverside High School in the United States of America. Semper Fidelis, Brian Peterson, Colonel, United States Marine Corps, RHS class of 1989.
Thank you, Toby. Now I would like to reintroduce Eric Legia. As I said, he was inducted last year, and he will introduce the athletes.
Hello, everybody. I'm happy to be here today. I'm very honored to be here amongst all these wonderful people. I want to thank Tom, Mary Jane. She does a wonderful job. Let's give her a round of applause. As I look around the room, I see teachers whom I had at Riverside. So again, it's really an honor to be here. Mrs. Lips, Mrs. Bartholomew, Mrs. Stokes, some very, very influential people in my life. So I know I'm not here today without their influence, so thank you very much for all that you've done. I am introducing the athletic side of things. Myself, I was an athlete. That's what I did. Growing up, I had brothers, 2 older ones, and a younger sister. We played sports. It's where I found my comfort zone. One thing about sports, if you're an athlete and you do well, as much as like the ones we have here, you hate to lose. And I think a lot of that is what drives athletes to do what they do in life and as individuals. The 3 athletes we have nominated today, we have track athletes, football players, cheerleaders. And in those sports, whether you're running track, football, if you want to succeed, especially at a high level, you've got to give it your all at all times. And I know that firsthand. It's very easy to be a part of something, but to achieve greatness and to succeed at high levels, it doesn't just take going to practice. It takes the extra things that you do outside of practice. Getting up at 6 in the morning to put in the extra work, things like that. And I have no doubt in my mind that the nominees here tonight did all those things. First, I'm going to introduce Melissa Missy Ezzo. I had the opportunity to meet Missy here tonight. She's got a wonderful family, 4 kids. I got to meet her parents as well, Jean and Frank. In the back, excuse me. And you can tell that she comes from a wonderful family, wonderful upbringing of people. In high school, Missy was a track runner. She graduated class of '93. In the year of 1992, she was a part of the 4x8 state championship team. So to win a state title, it's very impressive. Congratulations. It's something I tried to do my whole entire life and never really accomplished that. So it's one impressive feat. She was also coached by Coach Terry King, who's in the building. Terry's also a member of the Alumni Association. So it's nice to learn these things as I've been here today and talking with everybody. She was a member of the News Herald Athlete of the Week. She's a 3-time letter winner. She also qualified twice for the indoor track and field state championships, which is very, very impressive. She did that as a sophomore and as a junior. So congratulations, that's very, very amazing. After high school, and succeeding in high school, she went on to do occupational therapy at The Ohio State University. She got her degree. She did run some cross country there for about a year. And I think just at that point decided to move on, do some other things with her life. Continuously knowing that she's the worker she is, after college she decided to join some marathons. Learning some interesting things with her marathons. She was actually ran in the Boston Marathon. The year they had the explosions, those bombings, I think it was 2013. And anybody that saw the news, I mean, geez, that's amazing. I think she was actually very close to everything that happened, so more power to you, that's awesome, very cool. She's going back to run at the Boston Marathon again here in 2020, I believe. And she's continuously training year in, year out to do these marathons. I don't like to run 5 miles, and to run a marathon is pretty amazing, so hats off to you, Missy. She continues to share her enthusiasm through sports with her kids. All of her kids are continuously doing sports of some form or another nowadays at their own high school or even college. She's there for them, and she exemplifies what a mother should be for their children. So I know that they're very blessed to have her in their lives. Ladies and gentlemen, I have one quote I want to say, and this is just a good quote I like. It says, nobody who ever gave his or her best ever regretted it. And I truly believe that as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to welcome Missy Ezzo Latshaw to the stage.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful introduction. Congratulations to all of the other inductees. I'm so impressed by all of your stories, and I feel honored to be up here with you guys all today. I just wanted to thank Terry King for nominating me for this. This is truly an honor that I will cherish. I have a story to share on how I became a distance runner. I did not run cross country my freshman year in high school. Because I was more of a sprinter in middle school, but my best friend, Lisa Adams, was a very gifted distance runner. And she wanted me to be practicing with her instead of the sprinters come freshman year track. And I still remember clearly a conversation with her and Mr. King, and it's kind of funny because he just brought up this conversation a few minutes ago when I walked in here. But at the beginning of the freshman track season, she said, "Hey, Mr. King, Missy ran 8 miles with me over the weekend, and she really didn't have any trouble keeping up with me." Mr. King looked at me and said, "Really?" And I just kind of shrugged and went along with the over-exaggeration because that's not really what happened. And the next thing I know, I'm staying in hotels in Columbus, Ohio with the big kids at the state indoor track meet. But that's really how I got started in the sport of distance running, with a good-natured fib that really changed the path of my life for the better. I would like to acknowledge a few people. First, my husband and my 4 children. I know my high school experiences were before they existed, but nothing makes me more proud than my marriage of more than 20 years to my husband, Jim, and my family that we've created with our 4 beautiful children. Next, my parents and my step-parents, who sacrificed many hours of sitting on bleachers and driving me all over the state to compete in various races and cheer competitions, and also the expense involved with sending me to various cross-country camps and cheer camps. My husband and I now do this for our children, and we do love every moment of that. And next, my coach, Paul King. I still quote him to this day, and my kids can attest to this. "It's a good day to run," with a double clap. This is something he said before every race, no matter what kind of crazy weather we had. He had such a gentle nature and was a brilliant coach. He put together a 4x800 team my sophomore year with me, Lisa Adams, Karen Pomfrey, and Liz Marushak. I will forever be bonded to those ladies. We placed 5th in the state meet my sophomore year, and shortly after our race, while we were still in Columbus, Mr. King said to us 4 ladies, "I think you have a real shot of winning this next year." Of course, he had done his research on the 4 teams that had beat us and knew that we were a young team and that other teams all had graduating seniors. Sure enough, he put together a plan, and my junior year, I don't think we lost that race the entire season. And the state meet win on that beautiful red track at The Ohio State University, which is sadly no longer there, is a moment that will be etched in my mind forever. I'm also grateful that Mr. King allowed me to do multiple sports. I was a football and basketball cheerleader throughout high school too. Football, cheer, and cross country were the same season, and the only time he would give me a little plaque about cheer was when he would ask if there was any chance I could lay off some of the tumbling and jumping the Friday night football game before an important Saturday meet. Being involved in multiple sports gave me the opportunity to be exposed to different coaches, different teammates, and different experiences. I'm so grateful to have to be surrounded by such great humans. These people had my back in every way. And that leads me to the final person I would like to recognize, Miss King. She did not take crap from anyone. And when she got wind that 2 other track girls were bullying me at school, she pulled them into her office and gave them quite the talking to, threatened to kick them off the team, and they were very good sprinters, and that's what she coached. And the girls never bothered me again. I also really admired her ability to tote all of her kids around to the practices and the meets while coaching and being a teacher, even one season being very pregnant with her 3rd child. I really admired that she made it look so easy, and maybe that's one reason I wanted to have a big family. Being a mother of 4, I really appreciate and recognize the sacrifice that she made to coach track for the many years that she did. And she was also super generous in inviting the whole team into her home to feed us all delicious spaghetti dinners. That kind of influence of these adults and teammates is what led me to the kind of life that I have today. It was such a privilege to be surrounded by such positive people who influenced me on who I wanted to become in life. I still love the sport of distance running, maybe even more so than I did back then. Marathon running has been a way of life for me, and it makes me feel mentally and physically at my best. Even some of my children and my husband have gotten the distance running bug. My high school experience led me to incredible places. I learned the importance of hard work, commitment, dedication, loyalty, and teamwork. I learned what it meant to set a goal and use my work ethic to achieve it. One piece of wisdom I would like to end with is, don't be afraid to surround yourself with greatness and people who are better than you at things, whether it be sports, academics, music, and especially just plain old kind people. Surrounding yourself with these kind of people will only push you to be a better version of yourself.
Thank you so much, Missy. Next, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Nathan Tekovic. Nate was a class of 1997 from RHS. Nate was a standout athlete in baseball and basketball. Baseball is where you really start to see Nate's excellence. Some numbers that stood out to me that are very, very amazing in my opinion. His junior year, I believe it is, he compiled a 1.24 ERA with 82 Ks. That's very impressive. And then something else that stood out to me, he had 216 Ks one year. And in those 216 strikeouts that he had, they were in 278 innings. So that's like almost striking out every batter that you face, pretty much. It sounds like it, right? 278 innings, pitched 216 Ks. That's pretty doggone good. So I know that I wouldn't like to have been the one standing in the box when he's on the hill, that's for sure. Nate went on to college where he pitched at Florida Atlantic. He did a phenomenal job there. Excuse me, he didn't pitch at Florida Atlantic, he pitched at Miami. One of his better games was against Florida Atlantic. And I'm sure he'll kind of fill you in on some of that maybe, I don't know. He ended up getting drafted as well by the Detroit Tigers in the 12th round, pretty amazing. And he ended up having a shoulder injury that kind of ended up forcing him to step away from the game of baseball, unfortunately. I know that growing up, I knew the family, and it's an honor to be able to welcome Nate here today to the Alumni Association, into the Hall of Fame. Without further ado, Nate Tekovic.
And he was a good babysitter, too.
So you say. Bring up my notes. First off, I want to thank Mary Jane and Tom. Thank you for this wonderful occasion, for planning it all out. I really appreciate the honor of getting this award. And to Debbie, we're all average Joes up here, but we're all awesome. I'm not really a guy that likes to have the center of attention, but I flourished at it, at least playing baseball. There are two significant support systems that help me be the best player and pitcher that I could be in my family, my friends, as well as the coaches here at Riverside. I want to thank my parents for coaching all the teams that I played on, for cheering me on, sending videos to college coaches, as well as driving me all over Ohio and the Midwest just to play the best talent. I really appreciate it. Now having young kids, I really start to understand the selflessness that it took to do that, but also to see your kids enjoy it really means a lot, and I appreciate it. Gotta compose myself here. Thanks to my younger sister Beth for being the best cheerleader a brother could ask for. I'm sure there were many times that you didn't want to go to baseball games or basketball games, but you did get to go to like how many trips to spring break in Florida?
Love it.
You're welcome on that. Yeah. But also thanks to our coaches at Riverside, especially Don Anderson, rest in peace. He helped me in my Riverside playing days. In my sophomore year, felt like he kind of took a little bit of a chance on me. I had played on the freshman team my freshman year, and to make that jump straight up to varsity was a little bit of a surprise, but also I was very grateful. I was excited to play with a bunch of the big kids, the big guys. And this was a team that now we're seniors my sophomore year. The previous year, most of those guys all played on the team that went to regionals. So it was a very good team. It wasn't a bunch of schlubs. And I was only one of two sophomores on that team. And also one of them was Tate, Coach Anderson's son. There was a moment that year that pushed me to have confidence in myself throughout my high school playing days and moving forward. And it's not what you might think. That season, we were battling for conference titles like we always do, or did at that time, and still do. But we were playing a scheduled game at Jefferson, which was also a team that was supposed to be very good and battling for the conference championship as well. And Coach Anderson, to my surprise, actually decided to start me in that game. And usually when I started a game, it was usually against the weaker opponents, being a sophomore at that time. But I was willing to take on the challenge, even being a little bit surprised with it. Unfortunately, the situation didn't go well. I ended up losing the game. Happened. But also, we still ended up winning the conference title, even losing that game. Needless to say, some of the seniors, if not probably all of them, were second guessing that move at that time. I even think, like I said, I was a little surprised that he chose me for that game, but I'm glad we still ended up winning conference. But after reflecting on the situation, I realized Coach was preparing me. He was putting me in a challenging situation, but not something I couldn't handle. And I grew from it. And I started to realize, if he could trust me in that situation, with that team, where they were going previously, it's his son's senior year, so I was a little surprised to risk that, possibly. Why shouldn't I trust myself in that instance? This action and understanding prepared me for a successful junior and senior year, and knowing that I was the guy that needed the ball from here on out. I took this mentality as far as I could go with it within baseball, to college, pros, playing against some good players, but I still use that mentality in my work today as a physical therapist. I'm the guy that the doctors send people to. They want to send guys to me because I'm willing to take on that challenge. And I'll always thank Coach Anderson greatly for this. Thank you again for this honor. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Nate. Okay, this next athlete is Russell Pernis. Russell graduated in the class of '99 from RHS. Long overdue. Honestly, when I was in high school, I would walk through the halls and see that plaque of Russ on the state title podium. And that motivated me as an individual in high school, and I'm sure it's there today. I know it is. I was there the other week and still sits there. And I know that's something that is very cool and continues to motivate students around the school in those halls to this day. Not only was he a state champ, he was a two-time state champ. He won 2 titles at RHS in both the 110 and 300 hurdles. He continues to hold records at Riverside to this day, and that is almost 30 years later. So very, very impressive, very cool. Not only was he a track runner, he was also a football player where he stood out on the gridiron as well. Russ went on on a football scholarship to play football at Youngstown State. Don't know all what happened. He actually did pretty well there. I know that after a year, though, he decided, hey, track's where I want to be. So he went on to run track at Indiana University, where he was a Big Ten, where he learned college all Big Ten honors. He actually was a provisional qualifier for the '96 Olympic trials. So, I mean, as far as what he went on to do, it's very amazing, and I'm sure what he learned at Riverside helped him throughout those years. Russ, it's an honor, it really, really is, to be able to introduce you here tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, Russ Pernis.
I'm more nervous tonight than I ever have been stepping up to any starting line, period. It's one of my biggest fears, giving speeches to large crowds. Speech, large crowd. So be patient with me. I saw Kathy Riley at Riverside's recent homecoming game, and she asked if I was excited about the upcoming night. I told her jokingly, yes, because I have a 28-minute speech ready, 1 minute for every year waiting for this wonderful moment. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to stand here tonight and accept this award for the Riverside High School Hall of Fame class of 2019. Congratulations to the other inductees as well. Thank you, Riverside and Riverside Alumni Association, for this amazing night. Tonight, tonight is not really about us. Nate, you started this. The girls held their composure. Us guys are not doing so well. Tonight is not really about us as inductees. We have already won our races and our games. Tonight is our chance to thank our teammates, coaches, teachers, and family members. Those are the ones who are the true backbone of our success, making us better student athletes and people. Those four groups are the reason I'm standing here tonight. To all my teammates throughout the years, this includes you, Andy Lauer, and Carl Bartholomew, thank you for pushing my abilities during practices every single day. My success was truly my teammates' success. Andy, thank you for the nomination. Thank you to all my teachers and coaches, and there were so many. Thank you to the late Don Anderson, Riverside's football coach, for guiding our 1990 season to 10 wins and 0 losses, the only undefeated season in Riverside history, and such a special moment in time for those who were part of it. In my opinion, that season was a work of art conducted by our coaches, by Coach Anderson and our other football coaches, including John Sangdahl, our defensive backs coach, and who is here tonight. Thank you to the late Ron Schaefer for all his guidance. Coach Schaefer was our track coach and had a way about him where he could get ordinary athletes as myself to accomplish extraordinary feats. When Coach Schaefer asked one of his athletes to run or try a new event, we did it. No questions asked, because that was the love and respect that he had from his athletes. It was an honor to win 2 state titles for Coach Schaefer, as those were his first and second state titles after coaching for 27 years up to that point in 1991. Thank you to my siblings, Doug, Greg, and Kim, for your ultimate support. You guys taught me how to run. I'm sorry. I kept saying, I'm not going to get through this speech. Oh. I remember attending track meets from the time I was 8 years old, watching how you guys did it. I tried to emulate everything you guys did. You were the 3 best role models a brother could ask for. You all helped to create memories that lasted a lifetime, from the t-shirts, get it done in 91, to got it done in 91. I know we will never forget the t-shirt toss that Dad got on video in Ohio Stadium on that Saturday afternoon in June of 1991, when we crossed the finish line in first place to win the first state title. And lastly, but most importantly, to my parents, Pat and Sharon, thank you. Your unconditional love, guidance, and continuous support pushed me to believe great things were always possible, even if I didn't see it. My parents were always in the bleachers, rain, snow, or sun, which, as we know, there isn't much sun during track season. My dad recorded almost all of my races, and because of that, I missed some races because he had to look through that tiny lens on that huge camcorder. But I'm so grateful today to have those, and yes, they are still on VHS tapes. My dad, who passed away last year, would have been so proud if he could have been here tonight. But I'm beyond thankful that my mom is here, representing him as well. He would tease me that he got into his Hall of Fame at North High School before I got inducted, and he was 72 years old, and that was just in 2013 when that happened. Well, Dad, I'm finally in. Tara Marie, thank you, my dear friend, for being part of tonight and for being part of my life. Johnny, Ramel, Neil, Brendan, Darby, Reagan, Cooper, and Dustin, thank you for being here. Coach Sangdahl, thank you for being here and for being such an influential coach to so many athletes and myself. And a quick shout out to my daughter, Amara, who couldn't be in attendance tonight, along with Sue, Jarrett, Nolan, Amy, and Brady. Again, thank you to everyone and to my siblings and parents. Mission accomplished.
Go get a beer.
It's a hard night for a lot of people. It's a very meaningful night for a lot of people, and that's why I'm so glad we have such a wonderful attendance this year. I would like to thank everyone who had a part in making the evening so special. Most of them are on the thank you page, but I do need to single out a few people. Kathy Riley, every year, puts together this wonderful book. It's a true labor of love. This year she has help in writing from Gretchen Reed, Terry King, a friend of mine who is in the military and translated Brian's document that he sent to me about what he did because it was way over my head. And Carol Benroth helped also with punctuation and spelling, as did Gretchen. I want to thank Bill Geyer for organizing the making of the plaques, and to Tom, who, despite his long-windedness, always answers every plea and comes through, and Frank Zaccarella, who emailed me and said, I'll come take pictures and video, and we really appreciate that. And it's my understanding that the video will be available on the website, our alumni website, sometime in the next week or two. And finally, I hope we take a moment to reflect on this evening. With all the tragedy, upheaval, and negativism in the world, tonight is really a celebration of what is good and positive. These inductees have contributed so much to their high school and college careers, as well as their life careers and avocations and their personal lives, to make this world a better place. We congratulate you and thank you. We will close the evening with the alma mater as soon as Tom gets over.
Way to go, Tom.
So please stand. The words are on the back cover in case you haven't seen them.